When you've spent 52 years waking up beside the same person, the silence that follows their absence doesn't just echo. It roars. My name is Harold. I'm 80 years old. I've been a widower for 4 years. And somehow I've just started living. This is not a story about grief. It's a story about rediscovery. About learning that even after loss, even after the age when people assume you're winding down, life can surprise you. It did me. She was my high school sweetheart. Margaret had this laugh. You know the kind that makes people look up from across the room. That kind of joy can't be taught. It just is. We married young, raised 3 kids, built a little house on a quiet street, planted roses, fought about curtains, held hands during storms. Life was simple, beautiful in its routine. And then, in our 76th year, she got sick. Not the kind you bounce back from. The kind that creeps into your home and quietly starts packing up memories. I was by her side when she took her last breath, held her hand, whispered a thank you through tears. And then, I was alone. That first morning without her, the birds still chirped outside the kitchen window. Coffee still brewed. The sun still rose. But it all felt wrong. I didn't know who I was without her. People called. The kids visited. Everyone said, "You've got to stay busy, Dad." So I tried. I played solitaire, watched old westerns, sat on the porch and counted passing cars. I even went to a senior center once. But the truth? I wasn't living. I was waiting for, I don't know, maybe for time to do what time does, dull the ache, soften the edges. But grief is a tricky thing. It doesn't follow a calendar. It doesn't care how old you are. Some nights, I'd wake up reaching across the bed, expecting to find her. Other nights, I'd stare at the ceiling and wonder if my best years were behind me. One rainy afternoon, I was cleaning out the garage. Margaret's boxes were still stacked in the corner. Her handwriting on each label, Christmas, old photos, Harold's junk. I laughed at that one, and then I saw it, a dusty guitar case. I hadn't touched it in decades. Bought it in my 20s, thinking I'd be the next Johnny Cash. Didn't quite turn out that way, but I picked it up, sat down on an old lawn chair, and strummed a G chord. It was out of tune, but something inside me shifted. Music had always been a quiet passion, one I shelved away in the rush of raising kids, paying bills, mowing lawns. That afternoon I played for hours. The calluses came back. So did the memories. And slowly, so did a little joy. A few weeks later, I gathered the courage to play at a local cafe's open mic night. I was the oldest person in the room by a good 40 years. Hands trembling, heart pounding. But when I sang that first note, something amazing happened. The room went quiet. People listened. When I finished, a young woman came up to me and said, "My grandpa passed last year. Hearing you sing felt like home." I went back the next week, and the next, started meeting people, talking, laughing. I wasn't just filling time anymore. I was living again. I started doing things I'd never dared to before. Took a painting class. Bad paintings, truly awful, but freeing. I joined a walking group. Most of them were younger. Didn't matter. One man asked if I'd ever considered volunteering. Next thing I knew, I was teaching kids how to play guitar at the community center. They called me Mr. H. One of them said, "I didn't know old people could be this cool." I chuckled. If only they knew how invisible I had felt just a year before. There's a strange freedom in loss, a door that opens only after everything else has closed. I started saying yes to things that scared me. Dancing in public, spoken word poetry, a road trip with 2 guys I barely knew. I went fishing again, fell asleep under the stars, cried when I saw the northern lights, not because I was sad, but because I was alive, truly, deeply alive. Grief never disappears. There are still days I look at her chair and feel the lump rise in my throat. But now I talk to her. I'll sit with a cup of tea and say, "Margaret, you wouldn't believe what I did today." I think she'd be proud. I think she'd say, "It's about time, Harold." If you're watching this, maybe you've lost someone. Maybe you've reached an age where people assume you've had your turn. Let me tell you something. Reinvention doesn't come with a deadline. I am 80 years old. I have arthritis, a knee that clicks, and I forget names more than I used to. But I also have passion, curiosity, love. Yes, love. I've made friends I never would have met before. One of them, a retired schoolteacher named June, brings me lemon cake on Tuesdays. We walk together, talk about books, sometimes hold hands. It's not a replacement for Margaret. Nothing could be, but it's something new, something good. If you're out there, sitting alone in a quiet house, missing someone, feeling like your life is over, hear this. It's not over. It's never too late. Not to try something new. Not to fall in love with the world again. Not to be surprised by joy. There is still music in you. Still purpose. Still mornings that deserve your smile. When people ask me how I'm doing these days, I smile and say, I'm 80, widowed, and finally living. Because now I wake up with excitement. I play music. I mentor kids. I write poems no one reads but me. And most importantly, I've made peace with the past, while dancing with the present. Margaret gave me a beautiful life, but grief gave me the courage to live the rest of it on my own terms. So here's to second chapters, to unexpected joy, to every soul who's been cracked wide open and chose to grow. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're just getting started. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched your heart, share it, because somewhere out there, someone needs to know life after loss is not just possible, can be beautiful.